For the first 30 days of this run, I was completely useless. No skills, no traits, no gear. Just my underwear, one ally, and a terrible idea. Survive Project Zomboid long enough to go from 0 to building something that actually looked like survival. This wasn't just about living. It was about taking a nobody with nothing and turning fear, scraps, and desperation into guns, walls, hope, and a real foothold in the wasteland of Nox Country. The world was already overrun. Our odds were awful, and on day 1, I woke up with almost nothing. My underwear, my one friend, and just enough delusion to believe that this might work. But with a little luck, a very skilled ally, and thousands of rounds of ammunition, this know-nothing nobody was about to begin a true zero-to-hero run. Welcome to 30 Days of Zomboid, Zero to Hero Edition. And it all started here. Day 1 started with a terrible idea. Take 2 survivors, set every starting stat to 0, turn admin off, and see if we could make it out alive. We spawned in naked, helpless, and weaker than any characters we had ever played. And within seconds, the dead were already flooding the house. So we ran immediately. Problem was, Stay Frosty hadn't picked up any shoes. So now we were not just escaping the horde, but we were also trying not to turn his feet into hamburger. We searched vehicles, and nothing. The zombies just kept stacking up behind us. We tried the school since it had saved us in a previous run, but it was locked and packed with the dead. So our only option was to keep pushing west and get out of town before the run ended, before it started. Somehow, after a few close calls, I found Frosty a pair of shoes and got hurt getting them. I also found an iron bar, which officially made me armed and slightly less pathetic. We reached our planned safe house, only to find that it was completely overrun. So once again, we had to run west, this time using the lake and the rain and the forest to try and shake the dead. Then I found a tiny cabin marked Ben's. For one glorious second, I thought we were saved, but we weren't. Frosty and I were separated, and the cabin had a couple zombies all over it. I had to drag them into the woods before we could meet back up and finally take the place for ourselves. Once we secured the cabin, we started foraging hard for food, tools, and weapons. And that's when we got insanely lucky. We found a wrecked ambulance with a key, medical supplies, a trauma bag, and a rubber hose. Then we found that the car it had crashed into had an empty gas can. A little siphoning later, and on day 1 of a 0-stat run, we had a working ambulance. I brought it back to Ben's, crafted a pathetic 1-slot belt out of dog bane just so I could hotkey a weapon, and by nightfall, we finally got our first sleep. We were hurt, we were exhausted, and we were still really easy to kill. But somehow, after one of the worst starts imaginable, day 1 ended with a base, supplies, a weapon, and a vehicle. And that was an absurdly good start for this challenge. Day 2 was supposed to be the day that we stabilized. Instead, it turned into the day that we learned how fast things can fall apart. We started by organizing our loot and checking the nearest house to the south, because if we had any hope of taking the 3 lake houses we actually wanted, we were going to need a lot more food, weapons, and supplies.
Our starting material.
Yeah, I left it though for now, because we're foraging, we're getting twigs and shit. Alright. The key is in the car itself, in case one of us has to bail.
Ooh, there's a TV in here, which we should grab. I hear banging.
Yeah, I hear someone. Oh, 2 of them in front of the ambulance.
Okay. Back door's open, by the way.
One of the 2 is dead. Thank you.
One inside
Nice
still.
kill.
Thank you, Evo.
He's
Goku.
beating
What's
on
up?
beating on this bedroom door.
One outside. I'm getting her.
Yep. I'm going in.
I'm in.
There's two indoors. One on the front door.
I got the one on the front.
The loot wasn't great, but it helped. We even caught a TV program while cooking a hot meal of chicken legs, which, for a brief moment, made it feel like this run might actually be under our control. Then we made the classic mistake. We saw a better base, and we decided that we had to have it. Just south of us, right on the main road, was a beautiful little house with a garage. Securing it was ugly, but we got it done. We're good. One more coming out of the house. God damn you. And suddenly, we had our second hideout. Then, things got even better. Nearby, we found a Beckman's building van in almost perfect condition. It is 81%. Oh, God.
Oh, I'm so happy.
We ditched the ambulance, transferred the gas, and set the old vehicle up as a potential alarm trap in case a migrating horde ever wandered into the garage base. Needless to say, we loved the van immediately. After that, we spent the rest of the day doing what every survivor eventually has to do, clearing the surrounding houses and trying to make the immediate area much safer. That gave us more loot, more breathing room, and one very important discovery. Pigs. A whole field of pigs. Which meant calories, meat, and a chance to start leveling butchering if we could get to them safely.
Alright, hopefully this house has a lot of good shit. But also we can slaughter these pigs, get their bones, carve their bones down, make bones out of weapons out of their bones.
I don't have a knife, do you?
We have food. We have knives. Oh my god.
Oh, dude. So, we headed back to unload our very full supply van and prepared for the pig farm. And that's when everything went wrong. The garage house had been overrun. I escaped in the van, found Frosty further down the road, and by then both of us were so exhausted that fighting for that place back wasn't even an option. So after all that progress on day 2, we had to abandon our new base and retreat with our tails tucked between our legs, all the way back to Ben's cabin just to sleep. So that was day 2. A better base, a massive vehicle upgrade, a lead and promise of food, and a brutal reminder that every victory in this run could disappear in an instant. Day 3 began with a mission. Take back the garage house and finally turn it into a real base. So that's exactly what we did. The first job was cleaning out every undead trespasser that had dared to take our home from us. One by one, we corralled them, put them down, and reclaimed the place.
All right, I'm just gonna walk a little bit. I don't want to fight multiple at once. If I can help it, one target switch.
The group from the field finally came.
Hell yeah. We love that.
Yep, but we're doing good. We're doing good.
All right, I'm a little tired, but I can still go.
I'm leading the bulk of my group towards me, or towards west. That way if we have to bail them, we can at least consider our zone clear.
Exactly. I'm just picking off stragglers. Alright, mine are dead, I'm coming. I'm not gonna run though.
Yeah, take your time. There's no rush. I've got a couple now that are straggling quite far behind. I'm gonna pull these three all the way to the fence.
Come here, baby.
Got a free kill on one. Free kill on two.
Nice.
Free kill on three.
Ooh, nicely done.
With the base secure again, we pushed further out and found something huge nearby. A construction site loaded with tools. Of course, it also had zombies guarding it. I hear but don't see more. Some of them are coming to me.
Yeah, they're all hiding in a weird room in there.
But once they were dealt with, the reward was worth it. Not only were there tools everywhere, even better, another van was sitting on site. We couldn't find the key, but that didn't really matter. What mattered was that it gave us something incredibly valuable. A pile of known goods, spare parts for our Beckman's building van if we ever needed them. We left the tools staged for a later trip, because by that point the real priority was obvious. Food. We were both nearly starving, supplies were running low, and at our current skill level, scavenging or foraging our way out of that problem felt way too slow. So, we made a gamble. Go after the pigs. The farm wasn't undefended. A nasty little swarm of the dead was already wandering the area, and if we wanted those calories, we were going to have to spend some calories and fight for them. So, we did. And it got ugly. I got pink shirt.
Gonna take these ones out so you can fence the rest.
My weapon broke in the middle of the fight, and Frosty had to carry us through the finish. But when the last zombie dropped, the farm turned out to be even better than we had hoped. Not only did we get the pigs, we also found chickens. And somewhere in all that chaos, we found the keys to a little red, almost sports car in decent condition, too. While Frosty handled the slaughtering, I spent the time foraging nearby and trying not to get jumped by the tree zombies hiding around the farm. Well, By the end of it, we finally had what we'd been missing out on since the run began. Real food. So, after retaking the garage house, scoring tools, finding spare van parts, surviving the pig farm, and walking away with pigs and chickens and another vehicle, we went to bed with a full stomach for the first time in a while. Day 3 was finally the day that this run started to feel possible for us. Day 4 began with a blessing, the cooking show. Since Frosty and I had split our skill focus for this challenge, any free XP from the TV was incredibly valuable to us. If we both reached level 10 in every skill, the challenge would be over, so freebies like that mattered a lot. After the show, we took the van back to the construction site to collect the tools that we'd left behind, and while we were there, we siphoned gas from the McCoy logging van we planned to strip for spare parts later. That alone would have been a very productive morning. But then, Frosty told me something huge. While searching near the pig farm, he'd found a generator hidden in the shed behind it. At that point, we still had power, and neither of us even knew how to connect the thing yet. But finding a generator before the shutoff is one of those discoveries that can completely change your run. So even if it wasn't urgent, it was a massive win. Back at the garage house, we dumped everything we'd brought home into one giant loot pile and spent most of the day doing the brutally unexciting work of sorting it all into its proper place. I know, not glamorous, but essential nonetheless. By the time we finished, the base finally felt organized enough to function. With that done, I shifted my priorities to defense. I started gathering logs, stacking them up, and preparing to turn them into planks. Because if this place was going to last, we were going to need barricades. The weather then turned cold, wet, and miserable. So, while Frosty cooked, I rested, read a few books, and embraced the cozy mood. Naturally, that led us to singing in the rain like absolute lunatics. You are my child bride. I am your father groom.
The groom.
I'll give you everything. You just can't leave your room. With just a little daylight left, I finally got to work sawing the logs into planks and staging them at the windows. My strategy was simple: 3 planks outside and 3 planks inside, which meant that we could still use the curtains, still get light, and still see out if we needed to, without leaving the windows completely vulnerable to the dead. So, day 4 wasn't flashy. Nobody got chased across town, nobody nearly died, no miracle vehicle appeared out of nowhere, but it might have just been one of the most important days of the run so far. Because this was the day that the garage house stopped feeling like a place that we were hiding in, and it started to feel like a place we were building together. Day 5 didn't start with zombies. It started with the game trying to kill Frosty with an invisible pig. Okay, were you carrying heavy?
Nope, but it says that I am. I have nothing in my inventory that would be making me heavy.
Try log. Do you want to eat this food instead of me? To recover your health?
Probably.
Here, it's on the floor next to your feet. You might have to log out and log back in. That's crazy.
That was terrifying. I wonder what I have in my inventory. What the fuck?
Another cow corpse.
Maybe.
Oh my god!
That was scary. Well, see you in a second.
Goodbye, you're gonna miss the cooking show. We woke up, the cooking show was on, and Frosty was suddenly at terminal health because Project Zomboid had decided that he was carrying a pig corpse that didn't actually exist. His HP had melted in real time, and we had to scramble and fix it before he just died in the living room. And that's when we added a rule to the challenge, mostly for our own sanity. If we died to a bug or multiplayer desync, we call it a mulligan, and we keep the run going. Because losing a run to ghost bacon doesn't feel heroic, it just feels stupid. The weather outside was absolutely horrendous. Fog, wet, miserable. So exploring and fighting was off the table for a while. Frosty spent the morning cooking and recovering his hit points, and I spent it doing the boring work that keeps you alive, barricading windows, and overall tightening up the garage base. Once the fog finally started to lift, we made a civilized decision. Go meet the neighbors and collect our housewarming gift. A cooking recipe. And somewhere in the middle of being responsible survivors, we also discovered the most ridiculous thing in the world. The way you eat a whole pizza in Project Zomboid is unhinged. After that, we pushed further east, and we hit another house, only to find a sizable group of the dead waiting for us. The moment they started pouring in through the windows, it turned into an instant all-hands-on-deck scramble.
I hear another window, though.
Yep, bedroom. I'm on my way. Nope, not bedroom.
Okay, duffel bag. There's two here. Opening the window.
Yep.
More than two. Backing up.
And I'm at the kitchen. We got some coming in from the kitchen.
How many? I hear some at the front door, too.
Yep.
There's 4 in the house.
Okay. We got 2 more coming through this window.
I got mine.
My 2 are dead.
Yeah, I'm killing this last one, and then just the one with the duffel bag, and we're all good. I hear another one, though.
We got 2 more coming in from the kitchen. I'm on them. They're done.
Mine's dead, too. Good job.
We dropped the loot into a street pile and told ourselves we'd just bring the van back for it. But we had one more house in that cluster that we needed to clear. And our greed, plus the fact that we genuinely needed more supplies, almost ended the run. The blue house was swarming. I was exhausted, breaking my own rule about not fighting while tired, but if I didn't help, Frosty couldn't take on that group alone. He pulled a chunk of them away, and then more came from behind the house, and then more. They just kept flooding out and into the driveway like the place was generating zombies just off screen.
That was a danger moment. I'm okay, though. Fence cheese did not almost work out. Do you have a key ring?
Do I have a what?
Key ring.
No, not yet.
Got one. You got another one coming to you. And there's some in front of the car I'm going to deal with. There's 3 in front of the car.
I'm on my way.
Thank you.
By the end of the fight, I wasn't just tired, I was out of breath too. At first, it looked like we'd spent all that energy for nothing. Then Frosty started digging through the kitchen and found the real reward. Meat. A ton of it. Hot bacon, fish, fillets, fries, steaks, sausage. Suddenly, the anxiety from that fight got erased by the most powerful buff in the game. A full stomach. We headed back, grabbed the van, and returned to the street loot pile to load everything up fast. Because every second that you stand still in this game, the dead just start drifting towards you. And we were not fast enough. We got him. Are you fighting?
Yep.
Frosty had to peel off to fight and distract these shamblers while I packed the van like my life depended on it. And it did. Yeah. Fuck, I'm ridiculously tired. I'm gonna bring her to the fence.
I got some behind me. I can't see them. It's just one. Got it.
She's done. We made it back to the garage base with the loot secured, and by the time we rolled in, it was already 9 p.m. The doom pile was growing again, which meant another sorting session was coming whether we liked it or not. Our only rule? Sort food and cooking supplies immediately, especially perishables. Everything else can wait. On the floor. Tonight, surviving couldn't. Day 6 was supposed to be a simple day. Clean up the base, do some light looting, and come home. Instead, it turned into a slow build disaster full of mistakes and foreshadowing that we didn't quite appreciate yet. We woke up and spent the entire morning doing the responsible survivor thing. Cleaning, sorting, and trying to get the garage base from collapsing into a doom pile. Then, we loaded up the van and headed out, clearing a small horde that had started gathering too close to home for comfort.
Okay.
And, for the first time in the run since taking the garage base, we pushed west. Not far down the road, we found a wrecked sheriff's vehicle. It looked useless until we realized and remembered it had an alarm. And that was big, because it meant that we could now set up 2 sound traps. We could move the ambulance to the east of the garage base and keep the cop car to the west. These would be a pair of panic buttons that we could trigger if a migrating horde ever showed up. Loot-wise, it was disappointing. No guns, but we did pull one solid upgrade. A shell bandolier. Not flashy, but future gunplay was going to be a lot smoother with it. So, we towed the cop car off the road so that we wouldn't smash into it later while speeding, and we made our first major mistake of the day. We forgot to check it for gas, and our van was already running on a quarter tank. So, we kept moving. A little further down the road, we hit more wrecked cars. Nothing huge, but we did score a new bag and a key to the wrecked step van. Then, we reached our actual destination. A cluster of farmhouses. The moment we engaged, we realized that there were way more dead here than we expected. But we played it smart, used the fence, controlled our spacing, and started dropping them clean. Right up until my minor oopsie-poopsie moment. A zombie grabbed me by my feet and knocked me off balance. And in the middle of that fight, we ran into another problem that always hangs over this challenge.
I can't hit purple tank top either.
Okay. The bugged zombie. Sometimes in Project Zomboid B42, a zombie becomes untangible and untargetable. You can't lock onto it, whether you have melee outline on or off, it doesn't matter. Usually when this happens, we just call it out to the other person, who then tries to fight it instead. But we've lost runs to this exact bug before, so every time it happens, the tension in our heart rates spike immediately. We cleared the farmhouse, but the loot was basically nothing. Except, we did find a little something to keep us busy on lonely nights.
First bedroom clear.
Oh, found a little something here for just a little secret. And we accidentally left a magazine behind. One we absolutely should have kept, just in case a bug ended the run and we had to relearn it later. Yeah, believe it or not, that matters. Down the road from that house, we then found a dream car. One of the highest end sports cars in the game. A Murcielago. We even had the key, but we didn't have any spare gas. And we also didn't notice something very important about it. Because of the way it was positioned with the ISO, we didn't realize that it was missing its rear right tire. The next farmhouse was even worse. Another horde out of nowhere, and another bugged, untargetable, untangible zombie. And the fight pushed Frosty and I out into the farm field nearby just to stay alive. You're under threat,
I was
Frosty.
called. Yeah, I'm coming. I was called to the other room for a second. I thought that it was an emergency. Here we are.
I understand. Cool.
Yeah, I can't kill this guy.
Stand on him.
I'm gonna relog after this fight.
Okay. I'm on the guy you can't kill.
Actual hell. Super weird that there's certain ones I can't kill. Yeah, her in the blue plaid.
Yep. Watch out for her. She's on you.
Ooh, there's a lot of coming.
All right. Yeah, let's go into the
You were
field.
being eaten.
Nope. Let's go into the field.
So yeah, just what's it called? Nimble walk through it.
But that's when we learned a little trick that probably saved us and might save you. If you nimble walk backwards through crops like this, you can actually move faster than the dead because the foliage slows them down to a crawl. It turned the field into a weapon, our little killing zone. I heard your weapon break.
Yeah, it's all good. Swapping weapons. That Vixen is still alive, huh?
Yes, she is. I can't kill her. Someone just died. I think she's dead now.
Got that. I'm coming.
I'm okay. I'm a little worn out.
Yeah, I'm just nimble walking to you. It's taking me a second.
Two of them are crawlers. Watch out. We won the fight, but by the end of it, we were completely cooked, tired, exhausted, and one mistake away from getting dragged down. So we called it. Back to base, unload, recover. And we went to bed with a better plan, better gear, and a growing feeling that the game was setting a trap for us. Day 7 started quiet. Too quiet. We were doing the usual morning routine, sorting loot, cooking, reading, trying to pretend in this game that we were in control. When I decided to do one smart thing for once and check the automated emergency broadcast. And the radio hit us with 3 words that changed everything.
Oh, is that the emergency?
It is the automated broadcast system. Air activity detected. Helicopter. First one of the run. And in this challenge, a helicopter isn't just noise. It's a moving spotlight that's going to drag the entirety of Knox County straight towards us. So we dropped everything and moved fast. First, we ran to our old ambulance sound trap and moved it to finish setting it up as the sound trap to the east of the garage base. If this helicopter turned the world against us, we wanted that panic button ready, something we could throw the horde onto while we slipped away, without losing the base. Then, we made a mistake that we've only made once before. We went to the cursed house. You see, this place has history to Frosty and I. Back in a previous Zero to Hero attempt, Frosty and I survived for over a month until this exact house ended the run. Frosty got bitten in the hand during what should have been a routine one-on-one fight. Not because he played bad. He's insanely good at the combat in this game. But because sometimes Project Zomboid can be cruel in a very specific way. If a zombie drifts, even slightly, past that invisible shoulder seam, right down the center of your character's body, suddenly it counts as on your side or behind you, and you can't attack it the way your brain thinks you should. It's one of those tiny isometric game quirks that turns easy into dead. So yeah, the cursed house. And day 7 proved the name was real. A huge horde showed up like the house itself had called them.
Dead. There's one on you still. It went around.
Yeah.
There he is. Okay, and then I got one more coming from the field here. Good job. That was a little sketchy for a second.
We fought them off, stabilized, and then the worst possible timing hit. The helicopter event began. Right there, over top the cursed house. Of course it did. So now we had a decision to make. The zombies in this run are slow, but they have perfect memory and pinpoint hearing. Even if the area looked clear right now, we assumed they'd eventually drift towards the last place that they heard or saw us. And we refused to drag that chaos all the way back to the garage base. So, we looped around and pulled our vehicle up to the west side sound trap, the cop car, and we waited. We had a plan. The second we saw the first wave of zombies coming, we'd fire the alarm, peel off down the road, and let the dead chase the noise instead of chasing us. We even prepped a Molotov, just in case the helicopter delivered a whole army all at once. And then nothing. No shamblers, no wave of the dead, no distant line of bodies spilling out of the shadows of the trees. Just empty road and the sound of the helicopter fading into the distance. And honestly, somehow this was worse. Because in Project Zomboid, of course, silence doesn't mean you're safe. It means that the danger has moved and you don't know where it went. With this in mind, we couldn't go home. We couldn't risk leading anything back to the garage base. So, we slept in the van that night, far from home, listening to the world, and waiting for the consequences to catch up. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how the first week of our run ended. Not a victory, necessarily, but a warning. Because if the helicopter didn't bring the horde to us, it just taught the entirety of West Point where we live. Day 8 started with both of us asleep in the front seats of the van. Because after the helicopter, we didn't trust any building, any road, or even the silence. And the silence was the worst part. No undead had found us overnight, which raised the only question that matters after a helicopter. Where did they go? Neither of us wanted to be the idiot who steps out of the car and discovers the answer the hard way, so we stayed low and started creeping along the western road. That's when we saw them. Not a wave, just pockets of zombies gathered nearby, like they'd been pulled in the right direction, but hadn't yet locked onto us. Frosty's call was smart. Let's get back to the garage base, but let's do it in a safe way. No straight line, no panic trail leading a horde to our front door. So we took back roads, cutting towards Ben's cabin first, then looping around to the garage base. And since our van was still running on fumes, we added a second mission. Let's check every abandoned vehicle we pass for gas. First stop, a police blockade. There were pistols and ammos on the body. We even found a pair of keys, but the cars themselves were completely fried. No gas. Still, we walked away with something that mattered long term. In the back of one of the cop cars, Frosty had found an M14 with a magazine. Useless for us right now with our low aiming skill, but one day that thing would help us erase entire crowds. Then it was wreck after wreck. A ruined blue car, no gas. Another wreck, guns, ammo, our first flashlight, still no gas. And another wreck down the road, guarded this time by the dead, but still no gas. At that point, we'd basically completed a scavenger hunt called Everything Except What We Need. Eventually, we looped all the way back to the spot where this run really began, where I found the wrecked ambulance on day 1 and took a detour to Ben's cabin to check what we still had stashed there. Not much, but it was still a fallback, a safe house, a backup plan in the worst of cases. After that, we decided to scout the river mansions, our dream homes, hoping that the helicopter maybe had dragged the zombies away from the area. Nope, still swarming. Too many to fight, and we were too hungry to risk it, and still not equipped enough to take on that kind of battle. So once again, the river houses stayed out of our reach. That's when Frosty threw out a new idea. Yeah, we want to go to McCoy's, but we're just trying to get enough fuel in the van, because it's going to take a couple trips. We're going to have to go to McCoy's and clear it. Then we're going to have to go to McCoy's and bring all our loot. It's going to be a couple trips.
Yep.
So the main thing right now holding us back from that is weapons and fuel.
Yeah. Weapons in terms of guns, we have 50 handgun rounds. I don't know how many handgun rounds we have in our M9s, but we have 37 shotgun shells and 20 rifle rounds. So not enough. But we're making a dent in it.
We're close. We're closer than ever.
We could scout it out on foot. It's a bit of a journey, but at least we could get a lay of the land and know.
Yeah.
How bad it is, because we don't even know what we're prepping for yet.
What about McCoy's mansion? In fact, I had survived there before in B42 as my very first character, Jim, so I already knew the layout quite well. I knew how strong that location could be. Frosty only knew the legend. And with that plan in our pocket and in the back of our minds, we finally returned to the garage base. And, to our surprise and delight, it wasn't swarmed. No ambush, no punishment, just peace. So, we took the win. We spent the rest of the day 8 doing the unglamorous work that keeps your runs alive. Watching the cooking show, catching the carpentry show, and organizing the base until the doom pile was barely a pile at all. Day 8 wasn't necessarily a day of conquest. Instead, it was a day of recovery. Because, with settings like these, after a helicopter, you don't celebrate, you prepare. Day 9 was the commitment day. Frosty and I had been circling the idea of turning McCoy's mansion into our real base, because in B42, it's basically a crafting paradise. Benches everywhere, and deep enough in the woods to feel like an actual sanctuary. The place was guarded, though, It only took us a quick fight to claim it. The shovel broke away. Oh, sorry. Are you okay?
Yeah, you scratched my hand. It's all good.
Beautiful kill. Frosty had never been here, only seen clips and heard rumors, so watching him walk through that luxury was almost as satisfying as winning the fight itself. The only downside of this base was the same thing that made it safe. The nearest real road is a long walk away through thick brush, which meant every supply run would be painful. Still, we took inventory, consolidated the loot into the common areas, harvested the garden, and went to sleep with a new problem. We finally owned something worth keeping. On day 10, we woke up to a heavy fog, absolutely awful conditions for fighting and exploring, and McCoy's didn't have everything we needed yet. So, we used the weather the smart way. Transfer day. We moved through the woods to the Beckman's building van, dealt with a small woodland group of undead that tried to jump us, and drove back to the garage base.
Gotcha, because I can make my way up to you.
Yeah, there's a bunch here.
All right. Well, I mean, car drew them in probably.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at least.
Moving them off the road's annoying, but I mean, it'll gain our skills in strength, right? So, it is what it is. I hear you fighting.
I'm fighting.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, I'm here. What a great day for a nice drive in the countryside.
It had been a few days since the helicopter, and now we could see the aftermath. Undead had migrated in from West Point City and were creeping into our territory. We cleared what we had to, read magazines, and loaded the van for a proper haul to McCoy's. Before leaving, we left notes on our map for what supplies stayed behind, because the worst feeling in Zomboid is needing something urgently and realizing that you left it somewhere. Back at McCoy's, we started turning a mansion into a home. Frosty cooked. I read. Fishing, carpentry, foraging, farming. If we were going to live out here, we needed skills, not just luck. Day 11 started with paranoia, which is usually correct in this game. The last thing we wanted was to get comfortable at McCoy's and then get surprised by a lurker in the woods. So, Frosty grabbed a megaphone, I grabbed a weapon, and we started walking the perimeter, shouting into the forest, trying to pull out anything that might be hiding nearby. At first, it worked just as we planned. Single zombies trickled in, easy kills, especially with the fence. But we got comfortable. Too comfortable. I went out to forage and check the van, and that's when the real McCoy's herd wandered onto the property. Not just a few, a real group. Frosty was alarmed and called me back, so I hurried there. And remember, we're still 0 to hero. Our skills are improving, but our characters' bodies are still weak, low strength, low fitness, and low weapon skill. A sustained fight like this against such a big group will drain you fast. We got exhausted. I had to drop my bag to avoid getting flattened, and we retreated, leaving behind a chunk of resources that we'd started to rely on. We fell back to the last safe place we knew, garage base, only to find another nasty surprise. Even more undead had migrated in there too. Hungry and tired, we went to our closest sound trap, the old ambulance east of the garage base, our first vehicle in this run. I triggered the alarm and we waited, while Frosty started cooking up his burn plan. One thing you should know is that with my playstyle, I almost never burn hordes, but Frosty loves it, and he's good at it. With zombies drifting towards the siren, we doubled back, cleaned up the few stragglers we couldn't avoid, ate, read, and took our first ever midday nap. We woke up near 10 p.m. and spent the night cooking, reading, and monitoring the radio for another helicopter alert. Finally, we started planning how to take our new home back. The nap absolutely had wrecked our sleep schedule, and so with day 12, we were awake at midnight reading and cooking, drinking booze for emergency calories, and trying to force rest back into place. By 5:30 a.m., we geared up and drove the Beckman's van down to the ambulance. Strangely, there weren't nearly as many zombies there as we expected after Alarm had been running for so long. And that's when we learned something important about how B42 Zomboid behaves in multiplayer. Apparently, there's a cap to how many zombies the game will render in a cell, around 300 by default. And if you're not looking at the horde, the game can redistribute them in ways that don't feel real. You look away, you look back, and suddenly the crowd is smaller because some of them have been moved elsewhere in that same area. That changes how reliable a burn trap is. Once we had a suitable cluster pulled in, Frosty crept forward and dropped a Molotov. It was awesome to watch. We let them burn out. Then with full energy, we returned to McCoy's estate to take it back for real. The road there had zombies. The woods were crawling, and we ended up in a lengthy firefight. I'm just here until you run out of ammo, and then I'll swap with you.
No,
all right.
You got him?
I got him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's honestly better if I use this, because this is heavy.
I hear her, but I don't see him.
Yep, there are multiple south. 3.
Yep.
3 south. And that crawler's still up.
We got more. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. I'm backing up. They're yours.
Yep.
I'm reloading.
Reloading.
All right, I'll get him. Got one more. I got Gray Boy.
Yep. Yep.
Blue hat.
I hear a ton. Yeah, my shit's open.
Get ready. All right, it's your turn.
Yep, you're near me on my screen. So.
Yep.
There you go.
I'm behind you now. I'm reloading. Back up when you need to.
More. Yep.
On my screen, you got an encounter. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Then cleared the mansion, room by room, closets included, until it was safe.
The northwestern door, it looked like it was open on my side, which I don't believe we would have left that open. Yeah. I'm watching the stairs.
Let's go up the stairs. Proceeding to the main living room.
I'm going bedroom.
Living room is clear. Kitchen is clear.
Hell yeah, okay. They didn't actually, I mean, we gotta check the top floor, but it seems like they followed the megaphone.
All these doors are still closed. There's no way they got in here. We're good.
Hell yeah, a couple of zeros, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Even then, we were confused. There should have been more. We figured that the bulk had migrated north through the forest, back towards the garage base again. On the way in, we had spotted a small group of cops carrying firearms, and we were running dangerously low on ammo. So we set a little trap. Lure them out, take the guns, take the rounds. It worked. Almost too well. Yep.
Nice. Where are these fucking cops? Here they are.
Here it is. Yep. We pulled a mega horde out of the trees and into the open cornfields. The fight went strong for a long time until we hit the worst sound in the game. Empty. Click, click. We ran out of ammunition and had to fall back to the car and flee. By the time we got home, it was nearly 8 p.m. We ate, and I went to retrieve the bag that I dropped in the woods on day 11 because now food was becoming our real crisis again. We were both low weight, and the new negative traits were kicking in. Weaker, clumsier, easier to grab, and easier to be dragged down by zombies. So while Frosty cooked, I foraged, and I scouted the surrounding woods, trying to understand what the threat profile was like out there. I made it back with a bounty, and then spent the night shotgunning stew after stew trying to fix my weight. It just wasn't enough. I couldn't break past 74 kilograms with what we had, and I was still losing weight. We finally crashed at 3:30 a.m. on July 21st, our second destroyed sleep schedule in just a matter of days. Day 13, we woke up around 9 a.m. and got the best news we could have asked for. I was finally at 74 kilos and no longer losing weight. We had stopped the slide, but it took nearly all of our food to do it. So, day 13 had a new mission. We needed to build a sustainable food pipeline. I spent the morning gathering and carving, trying to get the materials we still needed for improvised fishing poles and primitive axes. The plan was simple. I'd turn my Fishing 1 knowledge into steady calories, and Frosty would chop wood so we could start building real defenses around McCoy's. We made progress, and thanks to Frosty's cooking, I was finally gaining a chevron again. Not much, but it meant we were winning the food war already. We went to bed at 1 a.m. on July 22nd, exhausted, but at least pointed in the right direction. Day 14. Well, we knew we needed to continue the same mission, but with one detour I just couldn't resist. Across the lake from McCoy's was a small campsite, and I wanted to check it because we might find an axe there or a fishing rod, and an early axe or fishing rod would accelerate everything. Our wood-cutting, planks, building, defense, the food problem. The problem really was the campsite wasn't empty. There was a lot of undead, and the fight took more out of me than it should have. I hit that dark red exhaustion moodle, got dangerously tired, and had to back off before I did something stupid. No fishing rod, no axe, just pain. I limped back to McCoy's with my tail tucked between my legs, ate another one of Frosty's delicious meals, and spent the rest of the day doing the work that actually keeps you alive long term. Sawing the logs, organizing the base, tightening our routine. The good news was, by the end of the day, I had hit 75 kilos and I was still gaining. So, on day 14, we went to bed at 8 p.m., finally a normal hour, because if we're going to survive past 2 weeks, we're both going to need discipline as much as we need more bullets. If you made it this far, thank you. Seriously. This video covered the first 14 days of our Zero to Hero run, and what's wild is all of this footage came from just our first 3 sessions. We've got a lot more already recorded, and it's only going to get better and nastier from here. So here's how I'm releasing the rest so you know exactly what to expect. Part 3 will cover days 1 to 21, and that's the next episode. Then I'll keep scaling up. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and beyond. All the way to a full year if we can survive it. So, if you're into long-form survival stories, brutal challenges, and that one mistake ends everything kind of tension, this series is something I've built personally, just for you. If you enjoyed this, please do me a favor. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with a fellow Zomboid enjoyer. It helps me more than you think, and it tells YouTube this is the kind of content you want to see. If you're new here, welcome. This channel is basically all about Project Zomboid. I make a ton of PZ content, long runs, hardcore challenges, and machinima story projects like Dead Die Here, which is my Walking Dead style improvisational character drama. All right, I'll see you in the next one, meatbags.